Chapter 31. The ladies compose poems to win favor. The poem reads, "The oriole's song is not yet old, the swallows have just returned, it's the perfect time to pass the cup. The fish-gut dance displays its magnificence, vying to be envied by the beautiful eyebrows. Searching for verses on brocade paper, idly leaving inscriptions, let's keep each other company. Sipping and savoring, enjoying the quiet pleasures of the secluded chamber, emotions in perfect harmony. Right tune, jade tree back garden flower." Traditionally, poetry, though used to express feelings and sentiments, has always had a structure of introduction, development, transition, and conclusion, so writers cannot simply scribble hastily. But today's authors merely pursue elegant forms and charming phrases, seeking novelty and originality, lacking any real strength or adherence to rules. It's astonishing that heaven sent a talented woman to live in this era, causing a dissolute ruler to become confused and bewildered, making him unable to resist her every desire. Furthermore, Emperor Yang and his ministers discussed opening the Guangling River. Upon returning to the palace after the court session, Empress Zio greeted him and asked, "What is the outcome of the waterway discussion between your majesty and the ministers?" Emperor Yang replied, "The ministers have discussed it for half a day but have not found a suitable route. I have been ordered to investigate, but even a small effort will not yield a result." Empress Zio said, "Since the ministers have gone to investigate thoroughly, there must be another route. Let us wait for their report before making a decision. Your Majesty should not worry about the future and jeopardize the present." Emperor Yang asked, "Why is Consort Li not here?" Empress Zio replied, "She was reciting a poem and was afraid that the other concubines would come looking for her. If they found out she was here, she would feel embarrassed. She couldn't wait for your Majesty to return to the palace and hurried back to her own quarters." Upon hearing this, Emperor Yang said, "Indeed, why haven't the other concubines presented their poems? My wives and I will go to the quarters and ask them." Empress Zio said, "That's fine too. The other day, someone from Qian Courtyard came and said that the flowers and willows in the courtyard were very lovely and invited me to go and enjoy them. However, I was busy for the past 2 days, so I didn't go. Today the weather is very nice. Why doesn't your Majesty go there for some fun?" Emperor Yang laughed and said, "My wife will be able to relieve my worries." Empress Zio said, "This is how a woman relieves her worries. It's not like your Majesty's desire to go out and have fun." Emperor Yang said, "If my wife says so, then I won't go. How about we stay here and have a heart-to-heart talk?" Empress Zio smiled slightly and said, "I was just joking. Why did your Majesty take it so seriously? Did you just enjoy the Emperor's favor last night, and now you want to have more fun tonight? Are you hopping for something like this?" As she spoke, she took Emperor Yang's hand and walked out of the palace. She followed the eunuch to call Yuan Bayar and others to serve at Qian Courtyard. Empress Zio and Emperor Yang boarded the imperial carriage and arrived at Qian Courtyard. Lady Zia greeted them. Emperor Yang then asked Lady Zia, "Why didn't you send me the poems that the concubines recited yesterday?" Lady Zia, after meeting Empress Zio, replied to Emperor Yang, "We didn't compose any poems. Seeing your Majesty return to the palace, we all dispersed." Emperor Yang laughed. "How dare you? Do you think the concubines will disobey orders just because I've returned to the palace?" Lady Zia smiled and said, "Most of the poems were composed and given to Lady Qin at Kinxiu Courtyard. She will present them all to your Majesty for your perusal." She then turned to Empress Zio and said, "The other day I eagerly awaited your Majesty's arrival. Why has it not come until today?" Empress Zio replied, "I was invited by your Majesty and was planning to come and enjoy the scenery, but for some reason, spring hasn't ended yet and I've fallen ill. I feel very lethargic. Since your Majesty is in the mood, I came along." Emperor Yang and Empress Zio chatted and laughed as they explored the various places. Birds sang and flowers fell. The sun shone brightly and a gentle breeze blew. The scenery at the turn of spring and summer was serene and lovely. Indeed. The flower-lined path was endlessly beautiful. How could one not share the joy of the wind and moon? Emperor Yang enjoyed the view for a long time, feeling delighted. He said to Empress Xiao, "If only my wife had invited me to come, I would have missed such beautiful scenery." Lady Xia quickly arranged a banquet. Emperor Yang drank several cups, then suddenly asked, "Where are Yuan Bayar and the others? Why aren't they here?" The eunuchs, hearing this, hurriedly went to call them, but none of them were in the courtyard. They searched everywhere, and after a long while, one by one they came in a flustered state. Seeing their unusual behavior, Emperor Yang asked, "Where have you been hiding, you little maids? Why are you only arriving now, and in such a state?" Knowing they couldn't hide it any longer, the beauties knelt down and said, "We were watching sword dances on Renjai Mountain. We didn't know your majesty and her majesty were coming. We failed to serve you properly and deserve to die." Emperor Yang asked, "Who was performing the sword dance?" Bayar replied, "It was Zhu Yer." Emperor Yang said, "Zhu Yer never said he could perform sword dances. Are you lying?" Empress Xiao said, "Whether it's a lie or not, it's not hard to see. Just call Yer here and we'll know the truth." Emperor Yang nodded, released the beauties, and then ordered his eunuch to fetch Yer. Soon, Yer arrived. How was she dressed? She wore a pale red shirt, as if cut from thin, bright clouds, and a white skirt, as if tailored from shimmering autumn water. Her hair was styled in a high bun, adorned with countless strands of pine needles. A pair of jade earrings, like moonlight, dangled at her sides. Precious bracelets fluttered low, adorned with colorful phoenixes, while embroidered ribbons danced with golden phoenixes. Her shoulders were high and slender, like pear blossoms, and her eyebrows were like willow branches. She possessed an ethereal beauty, as if a celestial being held in charge of books. She had a unique charm, truly a chivalrous heroine of the mortal world. When Emperor Yang saw Zhu Yer, he said, "You little rascal, since you know how to dance with a sword, why don't you dance for me instead of showing off behind my back?" Yer replied, "Sword dancing is not a refined pursuit. I was forced by the beauties to do it occasionally. What's so special about it? How dare I embarrass myself before your majesty and the empress?" Emperor Yang laughed. "A beauty dancing with a sword is a beautiful sight. How can you say it's not refined? Give her a cup of wine and let her dance for me." Yer dared not refuse. She drank the wine, took two precious swords, and went down the steps. Without even adjusting her clothes or rolling up her sleeves, she began to dance lightly. At first, her movements were graceful and elegant, like a dragonfly skimming the water or a swallow flitting among the flowers, showing off her beauty to the beauties. But as she danced more vigorously, she became invisible. The two precious swords gleamed coldly, like two white dragons circling up and down. As the dance reached its most exquisite moment, neither the sword nor the dancer could be seen. Only a chilling aura and glittering light remained, and a clump of white snow tumbled wildly before the steps. Emperor Yang and Empress Xiao watched, their faces beaming with joy, clapping their hands in approval. After dancing for a while, Yer suddenly rolled on the ground, heading straight for the southeast corner. Emperor Yang, puzzled, stood up from his seat to watch. A deafening crash resounded as a jujube tree the size of a bowl was chopped down. The eunuchs and beauties were startled and fled into the courtyard. Yer deftly moved, slowly sheathing her sword, as if the snowdrift had melted away, revealing a beautiful woman. She walked lightly to the eaves, setting down her two swords without panting, her face not flushed, not a single strand of hair disheveled, and not a speck of dust rising before the steps. As he approached, she remained impeccably dressed, her smile radiant. Emperor Yang, without thinking, slapped the table and exclaimed in admiration, "How wondrous is Yer! Absolutely captivating." He summoned Yer to his side and touched his body, finding it fragrant, warm, and soft, tender and pitiful, as if even a sword could not be lifted. He was deeply delighted and said to Empress Xiao, "Yer possesses both beauty and skill, Only a celestial being could achieve such a level. If not for today, I would have almost missed out. Empress Zio replied, "It's not too late now. Truly, he is pitiful to behold." Upon hearing this, Emperor Yang burst into laughter. Indeed, reaching a state of perfection is truly unfathomable. When skill reaches its pinnacle, it becomes divine. Behold the jade-like beauty's effortless dance. Pear blossoms fill the courtyard without raising dust. Emperor Yang returned to his seat, and Empress Zio said, "Today's joy is even greater than usual, all thanks to Lady Zia." Lady Zia replied, "What merit have I made? I am only grateful for Yer's sword dance, which kept me company. Your Majesty and your Majesty should raise a large cup, and Yer should also offer a toast in return." Emperor Yang laughed. "Don't you drink with the host?" Lady Zia answered. "I will naturally keep you company." Just as she was about to pour wine, a palace maid came in to report, "The ladies have entered the courtyard." Upon hearing this, Lady Zia quickly rose and went out to greet them. All 16 ladies of the courtyard were present, and they stepped forward to greet Emperor Yang and Empress Zio. After exchanging greetings with the ladies, Lady Zia instructed her attendants to rearrange the cups and plates, and then took her seat. Emperor Yang laughed. "You've only come to see me now, aren't you afraid of being punished by the chief examiner? First, drink 3 cups each, then present your poems." Lady Zai said, "It's not your Majesty's turn to be the chief examiner today. It should be the Empress. Your Majesty can only be the deputy chief examiner." Emperor Yang asked, "What is the reason for this?" Lady Dai said, "We female students should naturally be taken into the palace by the Empress. Your Majesty should avoid us to avoid suspicion." Empress Zio said, "The Book of Changes and the Book of Poetry, each with its own classics, shows your Majesty's skill in cultivating talent." Emperor Yang also laughed. "My imperial wives have long been influenced by the elegance of the Guanju poem and have deeply grasped the essence of the Book of Poetry." Empress Zio laughed. "Unlike your Majesty, who only studies the spring and autumn annals." This caused all the ladies and beauties to burst into laughter. Lady Qin took a manuscript of poems from a palace servant and presented it to Emperor Yang. Emperor Yang opened the first page and saw the inscription. "Your humble servant Jiang Gui of Renjai Academy respectfully presents this for your Majesty's perusal," with a small square seal below that read Yuexian Shi. Emperor Yang, after reading it, smiled and said to Lady Jiang, "According to the rules, the order should be based on age. You are the youngest, so why are you listed as the first to sing?" Lady Jiang replied, "Yesterday, Lady Yang and Lady Zhou said that those who finish first should be recorded first, without being bound by formalities. I am empty-headed and have nothing to think about, so I have overstepped my bounds. Unlike the other ladies, who have something in their minds and can carefully consider and ponder." Before she finished speaking, Lady Qin said to Lady Jiang, "We've let you get away with it, but why are you mocking Lady Xia?" Lady Jiang said, "How could I mock Lady Xia?" Lady Qin said, "You said she has something in her mind, weren't you teasing her?" Lady Jiang said, "I really didn't know. I hope Lady Xia will forgive me." Empress Zio, upon hearing this, hurriedly asked, "According to the ladies, is Lady Xia congratulated? This is a blessing from the 9 temples and your Majesty." Emperor Yang did not speak, but stared intently at Lady Xia. He saw 2 red clouds appear on Lady Xia's peach blossom face, and she lowered her head helplessly. Seeing the situation, Emperor Yang, somewhat bewildered, asked Lady Liang, who sat below him, "You are an honest woman, tell me the truth, is Consort Xia's pregnancy genuine?" Lady Liang held up 3 fingers under the table and whispered, 3 months. Upon hearing this, Emperor Yang was overjoyed and exclaimed, "Excellent, excellent. Quickly bring me hot wine, let me drink 3 large cups, and my wives will also drink 3 cups." Lady Yang said, "This is all due to your Majesty's virtuous influence, which has allowed us all to share in your grace. How can 3 cups be enough to repay even a fraction of your Majesty's kindness? What merit has your Majesty rendered that you must drink 3 large cups?" Emperor Yang laughed and said, Although I have not rendered any great merit, I have still contributed in small ways." This caused everyone to burst into laughter. Emperor Yang pointed haphazardly and said, "All of you concubines drink 3 cups each." He then smiled at Lady Shah and said, "The concubines may only drink 1 cup." Lady Jia said, "This is your Majesty being biased. You just said all of us would drink 3 cups. Why does Lady Shah only have to drink 1? Lady Jiang said, "Let's have some poetry. If your Majesty finds it unfair, please ask your Highness to examine it." Emperor Yang laughed and drank, then looked at Lady Jiang's poem, which was a quatrain. In the serene midday, the 6 palaces vie with their cloud-like hairpins, who would allow the emperor to linger. After the dance, a song of rainbow-colored robes is sung, oblivious to the difference between heaven and earth. Emperor Yang, after reading it, laughed. Consort Jiang has never seen her recite poetry before, yet she managed to pull it off without making a fool of herself. He looked further down and saw the inscription, "Your humble servant Zai Cha of the Shadow Pavilion," followed by the seal, "Natural Lady." It was also a quatrain. Her evening makeup has faded, leaving only a single flower. Again, the imperial carriage departs in its jade regalia. In her busy schedule, she newly composed a melody for the quiet night, listening in secret as she plays the purple pipa. Emperor Yang said to Lady Zai, "Others' poems use allusions and metaphors merely to convey meaning, but yours are based on real events. That night, I rested in the Kingsyu courtyard and heard Consort Zai's pipa playing through the wall. Her playing was truly plaintive and yearning, weeping and lamenting, so captivating that it kept me awake. This poem is like a painting of myself." Empress Sayo said, "With such skill, I must ask you for guidance soon." Emperor Yang looked further and saw the inscription, "Your humble servant, Hua Shuxia of Kuahua Courtyard," and the seal, "Zai Ban Hong." It was a poem. Emperor Yang then recited, "By the Polonia window, I indulge in a drunken dream, my heart troubled, yet I have no heart. I pull myself to the flowers to gamble with a golden hairpin. I lazily sit on the jade steps, then ascend them again. The Milky Way seems to stretch to the ends of the earth across the river, either shrouded in clouds or swirling mist. The Magpie Bridge has been arranged. Is it you who are obedient, or I who am obedient?" After Emperor Yang finished reading, Empress Zio asked, "Whose work is this? It's quite interesting." Emperor Yang replied, "It's Consort Hua's." Empress Zio laughed, "I'm afraid Consort Hua won't be going tonight." Emperor Yang said, "The words are vivid and charming, deeply capturing the sentiments of a beautiful woman." Consort Hua said, "It's just a hastily written piece. What sentiment is there? Your Majesty is too kind." Consort Fan said, "Consort Hua is too modest." "Your Majesty, would you like to punish her with a cup?" Emperor Yang nodded and looked further. It read, "Responding to your humble servant Jiang Tao of the Minjuan Academy," with the seal Jingbo Shi. It was 2 quatrains. "My dream of Yangzhou in March is broken. The grass is lush east of the 5 bridges. If your Majesty asks about my home, I remember the Qianghua flower is my neighbor. My morning makeup is elaborate. I'm startled by the parrot announcing noon. I vaguely recall your Majesty's plans for tonight and quietly slip on my shoes beneath the flowers." After Emperor Yang finished reading, he said, "The 2 poems are truly beautiful and moving, but I feel only a deep longing for home." Empress Zio ordered a palace maid to bring large cups. "I offer your Majesty 3 large cups." Emperor Yang said, "Why does my wife punish me?" Empress Zio said, "Your Majesty's opinion on poetry is unclear, therefore I must offer this." Emperor Yang said, "What is unclear, my wife?" Empress Zio said, "If I explain, your Majesty will naturally be convinced. All of you ladies, come and see." Upon hearing this, all the ladies gathered around Empress Zio. Empress Zio pointed to Lady Jiang's poems and said, "These 2 poems are in the style of allegory and metaphor. In the first poem, Lady Jiang uses the imagery of her hometown to express her deep longing for the emperor. though she is not actually longing for her hometown, but rather subtly expressing her longing for him. The second poem, in its overall meaning, clearly expresses her deep longing for the emperor, not her hometown. Why then do you say that her homesickness is too intense? Isn't this a misunderstanding of poetry? Emperor Yang laughed loudly and said, "How could I not know? Since my wives and concubines are all here, do you think I alone praise Lady Jiang's poem for expressing my longing for me, while the other concubines do not? Those who read the poems only. How clever of you to guess the author's intent," said Lady Zhou. "It's fortunate that your majesty is so astute, discerning the author's poetic intent. We concubines have been misled by your majesty." Emperor Yang said, "I will offer a cup to my wife to show how aptly you have examined the poem. I will also offer another cup to Consort Zhou to thank her for her assistance. I will drink one myself." Lady Zhou laughed. "It's always bad to be so talkative. Doesn't Lady Jiang want a drink?" Empress Zio said, "Your majesty should be offered these 3 cups. We concubines should each drink one more, as it is the most impartial thing we can do." So everyone poured wine and drank. After Emperor Yang drank the wine, he looked at the back and saw that it was inscribed, "Your subject Daik Xuanrui of Wenan Academy," with the seal Zai Tingzhen. It was a poem, set to the tune of A Cloud Over Wushan. The timely rain moistens the mountain hall. The auspicious clouds shroud the water palace. Flowers and grasses pass through spring and autumn. Where is the Isle of Immortals? Green sleeves receive favor everywhere. Red strings play melodies. The imperial incense deeply stirs up melancholy. The emperor indulges in romance. After Emperor Yang finished reciting, he praised, "Excellent, sorrowful yet not tragic, joyful yet not licentious. It captures the essence of poetry." Empress Zio laughed. "No one else could write this. Its brilliance lies in the ending. Your majesty should drink another large cup." Emperor Yang said, "Yes, I should drink. Quickly pour it." He then looked down and saw the inscription, "Your humble servant from Qiasheng Courtyard respectfully presents this to your majesty." The seal reading, "Little Brother Nan." A 7-character quatrain. In the cool afternoon courtyard, I lean against the wall, slightly awake, playing by the pond, learning to pick water lilies. Accustomed to imperial favor, I neglect etiquette. Even in my dreams, I still call out to you. After Emperor Yang finished reading, he said, "Wonderful. The writing reflects the person. The sentiment is so vivid." Empress Zio laughed. "Add a few more Chinese letter, Qing, meaning you or minister, and your majesty will be even more wonderful." Lady Luo also laughed. "With these calls, won't Lady Zhu come down and offer your majesty a cup of wine?" Lady Zhu, hearing this, blushed and earnestly tried to get up. Emperor Yang, seeing this, quickly stopped her, saying, "You sit here, don't pay her any attention." He then looked down and saw that it read, "Your humble servant Fan Huan of Jizhen Courtyard." The seal was Su Yunshi, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. It was also a quatrain. In dreams, poems sing of the grace of rain and dew. Why need Sima Qian's poem of Changmen Palace? After bathing in the hot spring, the emperor calls, though the makeup is faded and the pillow is stained. After Emperor Yang finished reading, he said, "Deep affection yet subtle meaning, perfectly capturing the charm of a beautiful woman." He then looked down and saw that it read, "Your humble servant Jia Suzhen of Jiangyang Courtyard, respectfully presented for your majesty's perusal," with the seal, Zai Lin Yun, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, below. These are 2 quatrains. Jade-like luster, untouched by crimson, a pure fragrance, a unique and exquisite aroma. Once I was intoxicated by a dream of the Zio and Xiang rivers, rising to lean against the carved railing, playing with my white skirt. My longing remains unresolved. What subject can I write? Since receiving your favor, my heart has been bewildered. I remember in that year's dream, startled awake by the bestowed jade ring, gazing at the rainbow. After Emperor Yang finished reading, he smiled and praised. She is naturally beautiful without the need for cosmetics. She is good even in simple clothes and with disheveled hair. The ladies then began to giggle. Emperor Yang asked, "Why are you all laughing?" Lady Jiang said, "We're laughing at yesterday." She stopped abruptly, saying, "I won't say any more. I didn't mean to offend Lady Xia earlier, so why should I say more?" Emperor Yang said, "If you won't speak, you'll be punished with 3 large goblets." Lady Hua said, "She can't eat them, so I'll speak for her. Yesterday, Lady Jia was composing a poem. After finishing the draft, she shook her head at it, rolled it into paper balls, and ate them. She did this 3 or 4 times, eating 3 or 4 paper balls. Later, when she saw your Majesty enter the palace, she asked Lady Zhou and Lady Yang to write it for her, but they refused. Lady Jia got angry and said, 'It's better to rely on yourself than others. Your Majesty knows I'm a beginner, so at least let out a few farts. I hope your Majesty won't banish me to the lowest rank.' Now that your Majesty praises her poem, we're laughing." Lady Zhu laughed and said, "Thanks to those few paper balls, she was able to let out a good fart." Seeing that Lady Jia was somewhat displeased, Emperor Yang punished Lady Jiang, Lady Hua, and Lady Zhu with a cup of wine. Another poem was displayed. "Your humble servant Zia Liao of Qian Courtyard respectfully presents this to your Majesty, with the seal Qiangqiangshi." It was a poem. Spring fills Westlake beautifully. The moon shines brightly on the small hills. Music fills the air. Lanterns light up the sky. The emperor has returned. How is the wine ceremony? It's nothing more than urging flowers to bloom and playing games. The early dusk has been wasted, too lazy to even brush my brows. Incense burns in the shape of a heart. Who dares to hope for a romantic encounter? Even the heart of Yao and Shun would pity the aging women of the Han Palace. After Emperor Yang finished reading, he praised, "The color, charm, and temperament are vividly depicted on paper." Empress Zio laughed. "Not only is it well written and elegant, but it also serves as a quick invitation for your Majesty tonight." Lady Zia said, "I am already extremely fortunate to have your Majesty's presence. How could I dare to have any other expectations?" Emperor Yang looked further and saw, "Your humble servant Luo Xiaoyu of Yinghui Courtyard respectfully presents this to your Majesty, with the seal Pei Sheng Shi." It consisted of 2 quatrains. "The small courtyard west of the pavilion is adorned with beautiful flowers. How can it compare to the homes of ordinary wealthy families? The scenery of Shanglin Park is breathtakingly beautiful. A single melody on the zither surpasses even that of the pipa. A different kind of makeup, too lazy to apply, 2 or 3 peaks of jade mountain crumble. In vain, they say Yao and Wei are worthy companions. Let the palace flowers announce their arrival to the 9 heavens." After Emperor Yang finished reading, Empress Zio said, "Both poems possess both talent and substance. Does your Majesty agree?" Emperor Yang replied, "My wife's assessment is accurate." He looked further and saw it read, "Your subject Qin Mei of Qingxiu Courtyard," with the seal Li Shi. A quatrain. Spring deepens in the palace. Rain and dew abound. 10,000 piles of red, purple, and green branches. Who cut the flowers and leaves? Now I believe the east wind is more powerful than scissors. Emperor Yang nodded, then looked further and saw it read, "Your subject Yang Yu of Minxia Courtyard," with the seal Pian Pian Shi. Also a quatrain. How can my naivety distinguish me from the emperor's favor? I possess a unique fragrance, enjoying the spring breeze. It is my own lack of grace that has led me to mistakenly believe the flowers and trees have offended the emperor. Emperor Yang smiled and looked further. It read, "Your subject Zhou Hangxiang of Chengguang Courtyard," with the seal Yulan. It was a short poem, set to the tune of Like a Dream. Last night the east wind blew through. A tree of bayberries suddenly burst into bloom. Fragrant dew moistened the golden goblet, a full blessing for 1,000 autumns and 10,000 years. Not absurd, not absurd. Let us drink together in this peaceful time." Emperor Yang finished reading and nodded a few times. He looked further and read, "Your subject Liang Yu of Jingaming Courtyard respectfully presents this for your Majesty's perusal," with the inscription, "Yin Yang Shi." It was a quatrain. Her waist trembled, afraid to pursue pleasure. Her hidden feelings in the mirror she only saw herself. Don't say the palace is full of seductive charms. Her light silk sleeves were drunk by the railing. Emperor Yang smiled. Empress Zio asked, "Why does your Majesty only nod and smile at these poems?" Emperor Yang replied, "My lady, you do not know that among the ladies of the 6 palaces, Yang Pianpian, Zhou Yulin, Qin Li, Liang Yingmiang, and Sha Zhu are renowned poets. Yet today they are like subjects responding to imperial commands, producing no outstanding works. They merely echo old tunes, bringing up past events once more." This caused the other ladies to burst into laughter, speechless. Empress Zio said, "As long as it is poetry, your Majesty need not be so demanding." Emperor Yang continued reading. It was inscribed, "Your subject Sha Wang of the Bailin Academy," with the seal Zhu Shi. It was a 5-character regulated poem. She entered the deep palace with disheveled hair, trembling with gratitude for the emperor's favor. Laughter and song amidst shimmering flowers, a drunken dance under the hazy moon. Together we praise the budding grasshoppers, forgetting the sun rising in the east. For 1,000 autumns we will serve, like plants and trees yearning for the spring breeze. Emperor Yang, after reading it, praised, "I was wondering if there wasn't a single excellent poem. It's here." Empress Zio, hearing this, read it again and praised, "Indeed excellent, dignified, and pure, truly a masterpiece." Emperor Yang continued reading. It was inscribed, "Your humble servant, Li Ziohuan of the Yifeng Palace," and the seal bore the inscription, "Your courtesy name is Kinger." It was a quatrain. The emperor, wise and sagacious like Emperor Yao, removes his earrings and attends court without fuss. Leisurely discussions of the Guanju poem are refined and elegant. Fallen petals drift onto his ochre-yellow robe. After Emperor Yang finished reading, he smiled and said to Lady Li, "It's all thanks to you." Empress Zio deliberately asked Lady Li, "Did you write this last night?" Lady Li replied, "I didn't know the topic last night. This morning, Lady Qin came and forced me to write a few random lines, which completely missed your Majesty's intention." Emperor Yang said, "If we're talking about women in their boudoirs, it's not easy to find someone like the concubines in such a hurry." Consort Shah's regulated verse is quite excellent. Even the court poets are no better. Now that the poems are finished, let's have a good drink. Empress Zio ordered the ladies to play music. In an instant, some played wind instruments, some sang, cups clinked, and everyone enjoyed themselves. Empress Zio said to Lady Zia, "Thanks for the host's enjoyment. We've had too much wine and must return to the palace." She then said to Lady Shah, "Your health is not good. You shouldn't sit for too long. You should return to your quarters first." Lady Shah, upon hearing this, immediately rose. Emperor Yang wished to return to the palace with Empress Zio, but she quickly stopped him, saying, "As for another night, your Majesty can do as you please. Tonight, it is my decision, your Majesty should retire to Bailin Courtyard. Furthermore, I will send Zuyer to accompany you, one for the Emperor and one for the entourage, so you will not be lonely." "What do you ladies think?" Lady Shah replied, "I am deeply grateful for your Majesty's favor, but I dare not claim it all alone." The ladies all said in unison, "Your Majesty's order is truly acceptable to us. Lady Shah need not refuse." Empress Zio said, "Whether it is permissible or not is up to your Majesty. Whether to yield or not is up to the ladies." Emperor Yang smiled, picked up a large cup of wine, and pulled Empress Zio, saying, "My imperial wife, please drink a cup before you mount your horse." Empress Zio smiled and said, "I really cannot drink any more. Your Majesty should also drink less, and save some for the important matters." After saying this, She boarded her carriage and returned to the palace. The ladies then escorted Emperor Yang to Bailin courtyard and ordered Zhu Yer to accompany Lady Xia inside. They then dispersed back to their respective courtyards. Indeed, countless famous flowers are adorned with new colors, but one branch alone reigns supreme in the spring of the imperial garden.